Well, we've got a new and exciting podcast to tell you about, the newest true crime podcast. It's close to home. It's called Breaking the Case. It highlights the work of the New York City Police Department. CBSN New York's Jessica Moore went to their Brooklyn studio, where she found sometimes truth is more compelling than fiction.
On July 23, 1991, at around noon, 3 men were in the park. They were working on the highway just below the Henry Hudson Bridge.
You're listening to the NYPD's new true crime podcast. Stories ripped straight from the department's cold case files and told by the people who lived them.
Joe Rizzo was one of the guys working on the road.
Me, Bobby Perdue, and Timmy Ohm were walking down the lane. And as we're walking, we're all smoking cigarettes, and I noticed a cooler down off into the woods.
Inside the cooler, construction worker Joe Rizzo found the body of 4-year-old Angelica Castillo, who detectives nicknamed Baby Hope. The Baby Hope case is the focus of the podcast's first season, with 5 episodes exploring the story in intimate detail.
Me and Timmy said, all right, let's go down and look. And it was leaning against a tree. So I had a shovel, and I popped the cooler open. And there was cans of Coke, and a black plastic bag, and it was filled with water and maggots. And to this day, I still don't know why I did it. Instead of just walking away, I tipped the cooler over, the cans came out, the plastic bag came out, and then with my shovel, I gently cut the bag open. I don't know why I did it.
Why a podcast?
People listen.
We sat down with Edward Conlon, New York Times bestselling author and retired NYPD officer who serves as the podcast's reporter and narrator.
This is a longer, deeper, slower look at what happens inside a police investigation, what cops can do, what they can't do, what they can maybe try and works, and what doesn't work, and how you just got to keep going.
We hear true crime podcasts a lot. Some of them are very sensational. Some of them are quite graphic. As I understand it, you're really trying to maintain the integrity of the investigation and talk to the people who were involved. Is that correct?
It's intimate, but it's respectful, I think, both to the detectives who were involved, who were giving their reactions. These are people with the children of their own, which is why this particular case affected them so deeply, and why they stayed with it even after they left that precinct.
For 20 years, detectives struggled with the Baby Hope case until one day, police got a tip that changed everything.
They started out by saying they saw the news, they saw the Spanish news, and they may have information.
That anonymous tip eventually led police to the accused killer, the baby's cousin, Conrado Juarez, who confessed he sexually assaulted Baby Hope and dumped her body. Juarez remains in prison, convicted of murder. While the Baby Hope case was solved, others remain a mystery, something Conlon hopes the podcast will change.
A lot of people are willing to take the time to listen to the story, and once you've heard the story, you'll care a lot more, and you'll think about a lot more, and maybe something will come to you that'll be of use to us.
In launching its new podcast, the NYPD joins a few other departments around the country who've realized this intimate medium is a great way to show the public a different side of the officers and detectives who vow to protect and serve.
Well, you'll hear them talk about their families. You'll hear them talk about how they were hurt and frustrated by working on a case like this. So the detective you see knocking on your door, asking your questions, well, now you understand the reason why.
The Baby Hope season took 6 months to produce and record, a labor of love that Conlon says opened even his veteran NYPD eyes to the struggles of working such a gruesome case.
The detectives, in this case, Jerry Giorgio was one of the original detectives. His wife bought the dress that Baby Hope was buried in. They went to the cemetery every anniversary. They had masses. They were just not going to let this go.
Some of these cops really haven't told their stories before, and this is the perfect medium.
Producer and editor Jill Bowerly says the team is often working 16-hour days to get the podcast on the air, but she believes this is the best way for listeners to understand what really happens behind the scenes.
To hear in their own voices, like what's going through their mind, you know, when they're coming upon really gruesome things or they're hitting a dead end. It's just fascinating. And that's a voice that's sometimes missing in stories about detective work. Detectives like to stay in the shadows. So it's a really great medium for them.
You can catch new episodes of the show every Tuesday wherever you download podcasts or on the NYPD's website. In downtown Brooklyn, Jessica Moore, CBSN New York.